Battle for Bikini Bottom originally released back in 2003, and is considered by many as one of the better games released on the PS2, with I myself playing through to completion multiple times. Riding on the wave of remakes and remasters from that era, flooding our libraries in recent times, such as the fantastic Insane and Reignited trilogies, and the brilliant Resident Evil 2, how does this blast from the past hold up in modern times? For those who didn't play the original almost 2 decades ago, Battle for Bikini Bottom is a 3D platforming collectathon. The premise is thus: Plankton has once again hatched a scheme to steal the Krabby Patty formula, which, through his own incompetence, has of course gone awry, resulting in a plague of evil robots descending upon Bikini Bottom. The game takes place across multiple self-contained areas, each with its own themes and elements. And this is where we hit our first gripe. Loading screens are used extensively throughout the game, not just between sections, but even where seemingly unnecessary, such as going into SpongeBob's house from the central hub. Interestingly enough, many of these loading screens are exactly where I remember them being in the original. On the PS2, this was to be expected, only being able to load small areas at a time. In 2020, however, this should not be the case. With that said, the loading screens are short enough to be an annoyance rather than a hindrance. There are several collectibles to find, namely shinies, socks, and golden spatulas, plus unique collectibles for each area. A certain number of collectibles is needed in order to progress through levels, or to enter different zones, giving you reason enough to go out of your way to collect these items. The core of the gameplay itself revolves around old school 3D platforming. Progressing throughout the levels to reach the main goal is very linear, and I never managed to get turned around at any point of the playthrough. You can go off the beaten path if desired, however, with switches and levers hidden around the game zones for you to find and trigger in order to reach these otherwise inaccessible areas. There is additional thought to this, with certain elements being inaccessible to one or two of the 3 characters, SpongeBob, Patrick, or Sandy. Each is unique in their mechanics, such as Patrick's ability to stun enemies, or SpongeBob's ability to wall jump. These are utilised well enough within puzzles, giving the player pause to think beyond simply what their current character can do to progress. Simple physics puzzles are also employed in areas, such as tilting rocks, which is nice to see. Of course, standing between this ragtag team and their goal are enemies, mostly consisting of the aforementioned robotic plague. Variance is quite good, with different types of enemies acting in different ways, and requiring more or less strikes to defeat. This leads us on to combat, which is simplistic at best. Each character has a ground and air-based melee attack, with SpongeBob and Patrick each having a ground pound. This lack of variance leads to a monotonous combat feel, with little in the way of challenge due to the relative ease of dispatching opponents. Looks-wise, it's a very mixed bag for us. The oversaturated and bright colours combined with the well-crafted objects and levels make for a very appealing setting, in all parts of the game. However, there are several moments where shifting between different LODs causes the game world to warp, with some high and low detail models seemingly using completely different geometry. This tended to be the ground rather than objects, but it was a large enough shift that it was definitely noticeable. It also falters when it comes to the characters during cutscenes, with 2 words coming to mind: Uncanny Valley. With characters an odd mix of realistic but not, this makes for a jarring experience in a lot of ways during these close-ups. Outside of cutscenes, they have an oddly plastic appearance. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. Music is overall enjoyable, however, after some time it can become very samey. Each character has a set of lines they can use during the various situations they can find themselves in, such as finding a health item or collectible. However, these lines are very limited in count, resulting in you hearing everything they have to say, outside of cutscenes, within the first hour or so of playing. Overall, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated is a faithful remake to the original. Too faithful. This is the exact same game as the original in a lot of ways, and that's its biggest problem. Born from a time where games were limited through necessity, what was acceptable then, it no longer is. And this game fails to address those issues in its aim at being a perfect copy. It scores 5.5 out of 10 from us, being overall distinctly average. At £25 for older players, we would advise giving it a miss, especially with the limited playtime at offer, with myself managing a full run within 10 to 12 hours. For young fans of SpongeBob, maybe. The more simplistic gameplay and platforming makes this suitable for young children, But with the likes of the brilliant Insane and Reignited trilogies available for the same price, whilst offering a lot more gameplay, we would suggest them if not already owned. Leave your comments down below and your thoughts. We thank you for watching, and we'll catch y'all next time.